Okay, this is edexcel practice paper set 1, paper 3H calculator. So let's have a look at these facts. Work out the size of the angle marked X. So you have some parallel lines here. Let's fill in some missing angles. If that is 54, that must be 36. That's 90. Now let's continue this parallel line. And there's probably multiple ways that you can do this. That co-interior angles, the co-interior equals 180. 54, add this 76 here, equals 130. So this angle here must be 50. If that's 50 and that's 90, this must be 40. And this all makes sense because there's another way you can do this, which I'll use the green. You know, alternate angles are equal. So this is 76, this whole thing must be 76. So again, 76 minus 36 equals 40. And just write down the reasons for each point. So I'm basing it on my co-interior one. So you can say angles ACP equals 50, PAC equals 40 because angles in triangle equals 180. All those are perfectly reasonable. So let's look at question 2. Yes, so I'm buying some paper plates and plastic cups, 25 plates in a pack and 35 cups in a pack. Trying to buy exactly the same number of plates and cups. What is the least amount? That least amount leads us to conclude this is an LCM question. So what's the LCM of 25 and 35? Let's just count up in 25s. You get a method mark for this. Let's do 35, 70, 105, 140 and 175, and you can quite easily see that's the LCM. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're going to get 7 packs of plates, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packs of cups. So 5 times £1.10 is £5.50. 7 times 78, that's £4.90. Add 56, that's 546. Add those together, and that is £10.96. That is the correct answer. This is method marks. It is a calculator paper, so feel free to use your calculator at any stage. And as this is a 5 marker, there's probably an M3 mark somewhere. That could be an M4. So really try to earn those easy method marks. Red beads and green beads is 5 to 9. That's red, that's green. So there's 14 beads in total if you do 5 add 9. What a fraction out of red? Well, it's 5 out of 14. There's a total of 84 beads in the bag. How many beads are green? So we've already done 5 add 9 equals 14. That's 14 parts. Let's do 84 divided by 14 is a calculator paper, and that answer is 6. So let's get 5 and 9. Let's times that by 6 times by 6, so we get 30 and 54. That's red to green. Double check, 30 add 54 does equal 84, so there are 54 green beads. Nice and easy, 3 marks. Now Susie is going to put some more beads in the bag. There's still going to be red and green. She wants to have twice as many green as red beads in the bag. What bead should she put in the bag? So what was the ratio of red to green again? 5 to 9. It was 5 to 9. We worked out there was 84, so that ratio changed to 30 to 54. And that's red and green. She wants to have double the amount of green as red, so that means 30 times 2 is 60. She's got 54 green beads already, so just do 60 minus 54 equals 6 green. You can explain that by communicating in whatever way that you see fit. So I'll say if you add 6 green, you would have 60 green beads. That is perfect. Right, let's look at question 4. There's adult spending in 2008 as a percentage. Total spending in 2008. So Katie spent this much, and she spent £48.45 of the £425 on food. Compare the percentage that Katie spent on food with the average adult spending on food. So the first step is, let's find the percentage that she spent on food. Let's do that on the calculator, and that's 11.4%. Now the average adult spends 11%, so Katie spends more than the average adult. That's all you need to write. Could add 0.4% more. Let's look at question 5. So, Coventry estates sell houses. In February they sold twice as many as in January. In March they sold 10 more than in February. In April they sold half as many houses in March. So, they sold a minimum of 123 houses from 1st of January to the 30th of April. So that's the start to the end. Looks like we have to make an equation. So we're going to have 123 equals, let's call January homes equals X. So February is 2x. March is 10 more than February, so March is 2x plus 10. In April they sold half as many houses as in March, so that's going to be x plus 5 because you divided March by 2. So we add up all those x's, you get x plus 2x, 3x, 5x, 6x. So you get 6x plus 5 plus 10 plus 15 equals 1, 2, 3. Now it does say find the least, so this could be an inequality. Now when we look at this question here, it said sold a minimum of 123 houses. So that means 6x plus 15 must be greater than 1, 2, 3. I think it's greater or equal to. So let's solve that by minusing 15 on both sides. So then we get 6x is greater or equal to 108. Divide by 6, divide by 6, and so x has got to be greater or equal to. So remember, you have a calculator, so you can just plug in 108 divided by 6, but I know that is one remainder 4, that is going to be 18. So the answer must be 18. So this diagram shows a circle inside a semicircle. There's key bits of information. Work out the shaded area. So let's get some method marks. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So this radius is 10. Now we've got a semicircle. So we do pi r squared divided by 2. That will give us the area of the whole semicircle. So that's going to be 100 pi divided by 2 equals 50 pi. Now I'm going to work out the final answer at the end. So what have we got missing? We've got this circle missing. So this circle has a radius of 5. So let's do pi r squared. So in this case that would be pi times 25. So that is 25 pi. Now we need to take away this part here as well. Now how can we work that out? Well, the clue is this. Can you see that chunk there is going to be a quarter of the whole circle or half the semicircle? That we found out was 50 pi. So half of that would be, let's draw now up here, 25 pi. And can you see it's minus half of the circle we worked out before, which is 25 pi. So that's got to be 25 pi minus 12.5 pi to leave us with 12.5 pi. Now that is that funky area there, if you can see. So we just need to now combine everything we've got. We've got the semicircle is 25 pi, the whole thing, and then we've got to minus 12.5 pi, and that's from the whole semicircle, which is 50 pi. So we're minusing this circle here, which is 25 pi, but minus 12.5 is this bit, and that will give us the grey bit. So that answer is 12.5 pi. It does say it's one decimal place, so we can just do that on the calculator. So I just plugged it into the calculator and my answer is 39.3 centimeters squared, and that is done. Can you see that's worth 5 marks? So lots of method marks to be gained there, guys. Let's look at question 7. Ali was asked to solve this equation, hence here is his working, so you can see the need to understand the process of what you're doing to get some marks. Can you break this down? That's the question. He's just written it down. Perfect. Now, he's expanding the bracket, that's perfect, but can you notice what's 3 times 4? You should get 12. So the only mistake he did was he expanded the bracket incorrectly, and it should be 6x minus 2 equals 3x plus 12. That's your easy 1 mark there. So let's look at this question. £5,000 at 2.8% per annum, compound interest for 4 years. So if you know the compound interest formula, we just need to do 5,000 times the percentage as a decimal. So 2.8% equals 0.028. Add that to the 1 to the power of 4, see what we get on the calculator, and that's the answer. And we get the answer £5,583 and 96p. It's worth putting the pence in, and that's easily done as well. So this is a variable interest rate. Now in this day and age, that interest rate is very good, and you will not be getting that right now. So that means first we'll do 12,000 times 1.02, because that's the first year, that's increased by 2%, times 1.035, that's the second year, times 1.05. That's all we need to do, plug that into the calculator, and that will be correct. And that will be, and if you ever want to really invest your savings, it's always better to go for shares, because shares historically always outperform banking interest. So let's have a look at this quick question. There's a rectangular lawn. Its length is 3x meters by 2x meters. So in grey, and that in white is the path. So we could see that the width of this lawn, because you've got that +1 and +1, I mean the whole area, I would say, not the lawn, will be 3x plus 2. So the total area of the lawn and the path here is actually 100 meters squared. So we know we've got to create a formula of something equaling 100. Now this bit is 2x from here to here, and that bit is +1. So we've got 3x plus 2 times 2x plus 1 equals 100. Now we need to expand that bracket, so that gives us 6x squared. 3x times 1 is plus 3x plus 4x plus 2, all equals 100. We can simplify like terms, so we get 6x squared plus 7x plus 2 equals 100. So we minus 100 from both sides. We do in fact get 6x squared plus 7x minus 98 equals 0, and we've just shown the answer, so we've aced that question. Calculate the area of the lawn. Show clear algebraic working. So part A is the big clue. If we have 6x squared plus 7x minus 98, we know the lawn is 2x times 3x for the area. We've got equals 0, so we need to solve that. So we've got, or could use the quadratic formula, so where a equals 6, b equals 7, c equals minus 98. You need to remember this off by heart. So the quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now we just substitute those values in, so you'll get minus 7 plus or minus 7 squared. Now you will get a mark, a method mark, for having these values written in here. So that's 4 times 6 times minus 98. I'm just going to bracket that on the calculator. All over 2 times 6. Let's work that out on your calculators. So when I plug that into the calculator, I get x equals 3.5 and x equals minus 14 over 3. And well, x is a length, so it has to be a positive value. So x cannot be this. So we get, if we simplify this, 6x squared is the area. So let's work that out. That will be 73.5. I think it's in centimetres. Is it in metres? Let's double check. Metres squared. Oh, and it says that in the answer anyway. So you can see again, lots of method marks to be earned. So do show. So this is a nice quadratic, an easy 2 marks filling in this table. This is on the calculator paper, so you should ace this using a calculator, or you can work it out mentally. Bear in mind, you can see if your graph is correct by knowing that this should be U-shaped, because it's a positive x squared type graph, quadratic, and the answer is going to be when x equals minus 1, y equals 3, when x equals 2, it's minus 6, when x equals 3 it's minus 5, and we can see the symmetry is at 2. Let's plot that graph. Minus 1, 3, 0, minus 2, and you get marks for plotting and doing a curve. It must be a curve, no straight lines, it loses a mark. 1, minus 5, 2, minus 6, 3, minus 5, 4, minus 2, and 5 is 3. So you can see, draw a smooth curve, and that's perfect. It says estimate the value of the graph when y equals minus 3. Well, that's here. So if you draw that dotted line across, you get this point here and that point there. So let's draw that up. I'm going to say that's 3.85 and 0.4. Now it does say use the graph, so please do not work it out and use the quadratic formula. You will get a tolerance range for this, and that should be enough to get you the full marks. So how to do any quadratic on these calculators. Press mode and 3, you can see table. Now you get this thing called f of x, that just means y. Plug in the formula, so if you press this alpha and you can see this x, that gives you the x squared, minus 4 alpha x minus 2, and this will work out the table for you. Press equals. So this means start. What number do you want to start from? So I want to start from the number minus 1 and end at 5, and the step is what numbers you're going up in, so that's fine, that's 1. And then can you see you get the table values, so when x is minus 1, y equals 3, when x equals 0, y is minus 2, when x equals 1, y equals minus 5, when x equals 2, y equals minus 6, and when x equals 3, y equals minus 5, x equals 4, y equals minus 2, and x equals 5, y equals 3. It does show you the 3 in the corner, and that is perfect. Easily done right, guarantees your full marks. You're not going to make any silly errors with the negative symbols. So in a cell, normal prices are reduced by 12%, and the cell price is this. So if 100% equals the normal price, it's been reduced by 12%, so minus 12% is 88%, and that now equals 132.88. How are we going to bring that up back to 100% for the normal price? So I just divide by 88 to get 1%, and then you times it by 100 to get back up to 100%. Now there's easier methods to do this, but I'm doing this because it makes a lot of sense and it's how you do a lot of ratio questions. So we just plug that into a calculator and we'll get the normal price. So when we divide by 88 we get 1.51, that's £1.51 would be 1% of the original value. We times it by 100 to get 100%, and that answer is £151. But as long as you can get to the answer. So this is question 12. Diagram shows a tetrahedron. We have some lengths which is shown in the diagram. We know that's a right angle there. And what do we need to do? Calculate the size of BDC. That's angle BDC to 1 dp. Right, so the angle BDC, D is in the middle, so that's the angle. So we've got to work out this angle here. Now, because it's in 3D, it could confuse you. So this is essentially D, we have B here and C here. Now we need to find these lengths to get the missing angle. Now, so that means we need to find these three lengths. So this length here is DC here. Now can you see this 5 and that 8, and we can use Pythagoras on that. So 5 squared plus 8 squared is going to equal DC squared. That's 25 plus 64 equals DC squared. So the length DC is equal to the square root of 89. So that's the square root of 89. Now can you see we need to find the length DB here? Now you can see if we take the 2D triangle out, that's 5, that's 10. So 5 squared plus 10 squared is going to equal dB squared. So that's 25 plus 100, so that's 125 equals dB squared. This will earn you some method marks. So dB equals the square root of 125. That's the square root of 125. Now the last length we need to find, so we can use a cosine rule, which I've pre-written over here, and this is a cosine rule for angle. Can you make out this triangle at the bottom? It's a right angle, and if I label that A, C, B, that's 10 and 8. So we got 10 squared plus 8 squared equals BC squared. So we're going to get 164 equals BC squared. So BC is going to equal the square root of 164. That's the square root of 164. We can just leave that as a third because we're going to put that all into the calculator later. So we need to use this formula here. Right, so I've substituted all those values in. So A equals the square root of 164, B equals the square root of 89, little c equals the square root of 125. Substitute this into this formula here, plug that into your calculator, I would put this into a bracket because of the indices. When you use it on a calculator, it could mess up due to big mass rules. Now that equals 0.237 inverse cos that, so I'm running out of space, so angle BDC, which is what we're finding, and in this case it's this angle here, but it said to 1 decimal place, so that's 76.3. So have a look at that working out. I'm sorry it's a bit all over the place, but I just needed the space and want this writing clear for you if you're looking at this using your phones, and hopefully that makes sense. But it's just a bit of problem solving here, and it's worth a lot of marks. So even if you just use Pythagoras theorem to work out some missing sides, you've earned some marks. So never leave these type of questions blank. So let's look at question 13. Now we have all measurements in centimetres. The dimensions of the machine parts are shown on the diagram, and the perimeter of the small square is 2/3 of the perimeter of the large square. So the small square, that's got to be x plus 4. X plus 4, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So that perimeter equals 4x plus 4 lots of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's plus 16. Now the perimeter of the larger square, it's a square, so all sides are the same. So it's 3x plus 4 times 4 essentially. So that is going to give us 12x plus 16. Now let's form an equation. So we've got 4x plus 16, and we know it's 2/3 of the perimeter of the large square, equals 2/3 12x plus 16. And so we want to get rid of this fraction here really, so let's just times both sides by 3, which will cancel out this 3. Now we have to times both terms by 3, so that gives us 12x plus 48 equals 2 times 12x plus 16. Now you can expand this bracket out, or you can just divide this out by 2. I'm just going to divide that by 2 to cancel out this 2. So we get 6x plus 24 equals 12x plus 16 minus the smallest amount of x. So we get 24 equals 12x plus 16. You can skip a few of these bits of working out. We're going to minus the 16 to cancel out that 16 on both sides, and then we get 8 equals, correction here, that's 6x because I had to minus the 6x, so 8 equals 6x. Divide by 6, divide by 6, which leaves us x equals 8/6. So x equals 4/3. So x equals 4/3. The length of the small side of the small square, because that's what we need to find. So we just have to, the small side is this, so we just sub that in. 4/3 plus 4 is going to equal 4 4/3. But I don't like that because that is an improper fraction. So that's essentially 5 1/3, and that should be fine. Now, you see the purpose of lots of working out? That's worth a big 5 marks, guys. So don't lose method marks, just in case you make a mistake at the end. Question 14. Caroline has 20 biscuits in a tin. Right, we should be very good at this now. This has come up a lot. Probability tree, so really get good at it. Not the same type again type of question. Takes 2 biscuits from the tin. So let's draw a nice tree here. So plain. So it's out of 20 biscuits. So I'm going to say 12 out of 20 is the event plain biscuit. CB is chocolate biscuit, which is 5 out of 20. And the ginger, 3 out of 20. Now I could just call that GCMP to make it easier. Splits up. So if I take a plain chocolate first, a plain chocolate again will be, there's 1 less, so that's 11 out of a total of 19. The chocolate, well, there's still 5 in the tin, so that becomes 5 over 19. And the gingerbread one is going to be 3 out of 20. Now it's worth doing a tree if you have time, just because you get a method mark just in case you make a mistake. Now if we pick the chocolate biscuit first, there are still 12 out of 20 plain biscuits. So let's go to chocolate. So that's going to be 4 out of 19. Now can you see the mistake I've made here is that should be 19. So always double check that all your branches of your tree equals 1. And the final one, 12 over 19 for the plain. For chocolate it is 5 out of 19. And from the ginger, one's been taken, so it's 2 out of 19. Can you see all this makes 19? Will be 3 out of 19. So obviously on a piece of paper you're going to have a lot more space to do this. So work out the probability that the biscuits were not the same type. Well, I can just do 1 minus the same biscuits. To work this out it will be easier. So probability, see the probability of plain and plain equals 12 over 20 times 11 over 19 equals, that's 132 over 380. Probability of chocolate and chocolate equals 5 over 20 times 4 over 19, which is 20 over 380. And probability of ginger and ginger is 3 over 20 times 2 over 19 equals 6 over 380. Now probability questions, it's just far easier to leave it as a fraction that is worth the same mark. So we just add these up together and that's going to be 152, 158 out of 380. And we're going to subtract that from 1, which is the same as 380 over 380. Use your calculator if you want. This number is the same as 1. So that is going to be 222 over 380. That should be acceptable, but you can simplify that on your calculator. But we could just divide that all by 2 to get 111 over 190, and that is done. Now the question doesn't say simplify anywhere, so that's why that is fine, just leaving the answer like that. And that is a hefty 4 marks that you should clean up. Now we have an equilateral triangle, so what do we know about this? This is 60. Now the area of a triangle is normally base times height divided by 2, so people might try to do this. Find the height here, then times it by x and divide it by 2, so you can use Pythagoras theorem, and that method should work actually, but it's going to become very difficult for you because that's just a lot of working out, the easiest thing to use is the sine rule, which is half AB sine C. So if we call that C, A and B, that's little a, little c, little b. Just substitute the values in, and this gives you the area. So we have a half times x times sine 60, which is a half x squared, and sine 60 on the calculator is root 3 over 2, and we know the area equals 36. So let's simplify that to x squared over 4 times root 3, because we multiply the fractions across, equals 36. Now let's write that down here. Let's times both sides by 4 times by 4, so root 3 x squared equals 144. Divide out by the root 3, divide out by root 3. So that leaves us with x squared equals 48 root 3 if you use that on your calculator. Now just square root both sides to find x. So x equals 9.118, and there's some other numbers, but it does say to 3 significant figures. So that's the third significant figure, so x equals 9.1223. So prove algebraically that the product of two odd numbers is always an odd number. So one odd number could be 2m plus 1, and the other one would be 2m plus 1, where n and m are different. So the product means multiply. Let's expand that out. So we're going to get 4mn plus 2n plus 2m plus 1. Now we can factorize this out by saying 2mn plus n plus m plus 1. Now 2 times any number, which is this bracket, is always going to be even, because even times odd is always even. Try it for yourself, don't believe me, but that is a given proof in maths. So if you've got an even number, this bit is guaranteed to be even, and you add 1, then you're always going to get an odd number, because like socks, you've got one extra sock, so there's a sock that's always going to be odd, and that's the proof, and that will get you all the marks. So let's look at question 17. We're near the end now. Traffic light turns red, so the car's going to be slowing down. Car takes 4 seconds to slow down to a stop, and it's 5 seconds until the car stops. It says work out an estimate for the distance the car travels in these 5 seconds. So it's an estimate because distance equals speed times time. So we just use something called, it is an estimate, so we use something called a trapezium rule. Can you see we can split, now that's a triangle, Can you see there's a trapezium here? There's a right angle to trapezium, right angle trapezium, and a right angle to trapezium. So this area is going to be 1 times 20. So that's going to be 20 meters. Imagine the area of trapezium is A plus B divided by 2 times the height, where A and B are the parallel sides. So can you see this length here is 10, and that's 20, and the height here is 1. So this bar is going to be 30 divided by 2, that's 15. This one is got 10 here, that's 5. The height is still 1, so we have 10 plus 5 divided by 2 equals 7.5. So that is 7.5. That is 5, and I'm going to say that's not quite 2.5. That is 2. So this is 2.5. A square is worth 0.5. So that height is in fact 2 there, and that height is 5. So 5 add 2 divided by 3 equals 3.5. That's 3.5. That's 2 times 1. It's a triangle, so 2 times 1 over 2. That height is 1. So what we have here is 20 add 15 add 7.5 add 3.5 add 1, and you can see that's estimate, and the area under a line graph, if it's a speed time graph, is the distance. So let's add that up together. 35, 42.5, 46, 47, so the answer is 47 meters, but do use a calculator so you don't lose a method mark, or always double check your answers if you have time. And that is quite an easy 3-mark question really, and it's probably a grade 8 to 9 question. Now this is your thinking skill. Is your answer to A an underestimate or an overestimate of the actual distance the car travels in these 5 seconds? Give a reason for your answer. Well, have a look. Our lines, can you see that on top over the curve? So when we have the trapezium, although this isn't perfect, my lines aren't good, please use a ruler in the exam. Hopefully you can just make out we've worked out some of the area in between the curve and the trapezium. So you would say overestimate included area between curve and straight line. Question 18. So this is a new type question you haven't done before. A farmer wants to find the estimate of the number of rabbits on his farm. He catches 120 rabbits, but we still don't know the total number of rabbits. He puts a tag on each rabbit. He lets them escape. On Tuesday, the farmer catches 70 rabbits, and 15 of these rabbits have a tag on them. So work out an estimate of the total number of rabbits on the farm. You must write down any assumptions you have made. So if he catches 120 rabbits and we don't know the total, we can say that's 120 over n rabbits. He lets them go on another day. He catches 70 rabbits, so he catches a total of 70, and 15 have a tag. So 15 out of 70 have a tag. So can you see we can try and work out n here? So if we multiply out by n, we get 120 equals 15n over 70. So let's times out by 70, times out on 70 on both sides. So what we get is 8,400 equals 15n. Remember, n is the estimated rabbits on the farm. So we just need to divide by 15 and divide by 15 to get n equals 560. Write down any assumptions we have made. Well, we can assume that the population hasn't changed overnight, or we can say it is a sample. And any of these two comments will get you the mark, and that is another 4 marks. And that is the paper finished.